All yours.
All right, so I am Lynn Soroy, the co-chair, and I will be facilitating the meeting tonight. I'll call to order at 5:15. And we have a couple committee members who are either online or who are absent. I guess if you'd like to go ahead, Mark, start
Mark
off.
Lee with Harriman Architect.
And then maybe we should just go around the table since we have another guest in person here.
Kim Pryor.
Kathy Hunter.
Paul background right for the town's record.
Oh, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And Leslie Byrne. Allison Carey Blake.
Lynn.
Mark Waltz, Town Manager.
All right, awesome. And so we have, we're all set, no more guests other than.
Heather, would you like to introduce yourself? Well, yes, I spoiled the surprise.
Hi, I'm Heather Rogers.
And Pam?
Hi guys, you don't want to see me, so I'm glad to be here.
All right, great. So we'll go right to number 2 on the agenda. Any changes to this agenda? No?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Great. So number 3, invitation to guests present to introduce, which we kind of went out of order, so
Yeah, that's right.
I think we're good there. So I think we could get right into business then. Item number 4, planning for town assessment event, communication follow-up. Whose is that?
Well, I guess it's kind of me, Heather, Pam. We had the postcards printed. We have posters. I don't know where we are as far as handing them out or putting them up. I'm assuming they must be available downstairs as Paul saw them. And it is in the town crier, and I would have to defer to Pam if any of them have been emailed.
I believe Mark gave approval for all of the outside groups to get an email last Friday, Mark, wasn't it?
Yep.
So I believe that they have been sent out there and they're on schedule to go out through the rec for Topsham residents through our MyRec software on Wednesday of this week.
I will say thank you so much for the work on the postcard. I think it looks awesome. And I also know on Facebook that Parks and Rec and I believe the town had posted something about the meeting. So I shared that to my personal page as well, just to kind of get the word out there. So if you're on Facebook, maybe look for that and share it as well, so we can get a good turnout.
Is there any places that we can think of that, since we have the postcards and the posters, is there any place we can think of that we want to ask to put them up or hand them out, since now is a good time?
We did Hannaford in the past. Where else we put them?
Library, don't they usually let
Library.
us put something up?
Does anybody have a chance to stop at either of those places to see if we can hang or put them up?
I'm always at the library. I'm happy to.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to take Hannaford then?
Sure.
Yeah, I had Kelly print up some more posters today for you. We have them downstairs and they got sent out to the committees, the postcard with the information on both sides. But I thought each of you might have some places that you think of particular that you'd like to see them at.
I think we can all take some when we go.
That's why they're there.
The Copper Kettle has that bulletin board when you go between the 2 sets of doors.
Yep.
So I'm sure they would let me put a postcard up there.
Does Fairground Cafe have one also? Maybe I'm making that up. I don't,
Maybe.
I think they do,
or at least they have
or an
posts,
area, yeah,
posters up.
yeah.
Well, we all grab a bunch if we're out and about, we can find places to put them up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Okay,
So that is where we're at as far as getting the word out,
okay.
I would say, as far as communication updates.
We
Okay, so
have
just-
both the forum and the cafeteria reserved for Saturday at 1 and or if we need it for Sunday if we get a snowstorm, although it doesn't seem to be in our odds this year.
Paul, would it benefit you for a little synopsis on what's planned? Or-
Yeah, I was wondering what's coming up at this workshop.
Well, I kind of thought bullet number 2, updates from Harriman team, that perhaps Harriman would want to give an update here.
Sure. So we've been working on the presentation for that. It's probably about 50% complete right now. And my thought was to compile the last areas that I'm working on and send the draft out to the group probably by the end of this week for comment, so I can make any modifications before next for the next weekend itself. And we're following the agenda that we all talked about the last time, so that's in good shape. Some specific direction I'm looking for, probably I can bring up, is on the site itself, in particular, the fairground site. We had 2 access. Yeah, let me go ahead, Mark.
Before you do
Oh,
that,
go
we
ahead.
will back up for a second just to give.
I'm
Paul-
sorry.
Yeah.
Why don't we give a greater context? Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
I think that's
Greater
one of the key
context.
reasons that Paul's here. So we've been working on this project since Mark.
Originally.
Before my time.
And we've been looking to look into the possibility of having a community center of some sort, whether it's building or renovating something, so that we could have a community center here in Topsham. Over the last year and a half, we did some focus groups, and then we did a survey, and then we presented the survey to our select board to see if we could take next steps, which involves potentially looking at locations. All we have at this point is the approval to continue to explore the options. And that is part of what this event is to get more information from our town as far as what they would like to see, should we have the ability to go forward with a community center.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yep.
All right, and with that, why don't I go ahead and share how the presentation is taking shape? That might also be helpful if you understand the nature of what this community meeting is going to entail. Does that seem helpful, folks?
Yeah.
Sure, perfect.
All right, we'll do that. All right. Let's go to Zoom here and get to. So the 6 steps that on the agenda for the workshop involve just a welcoming for everyone who's joining us, a little understanding about the project as it was just explained, where we are in this journey of exploring the idea of a community center. And the next step is to look at community needs and aspirations. What is it that the community is asking for? Part of that is to go back and look at the results of the community-wide forum or a survey that we had done. And also, even going back, there was a previous survey that was a fairly significant outreach to the community as well. Both of them pointing to a desire, overwhelming desire to look at addressing the need for a community center. We'll talk a little bit, which is what I started to get ahead of myself there, a little bit about the site context. And right now we are exploring 2 sites. We'll just talk about some features of those sites. And then start digging into what aspects of a design for a community center might be desirable for the community. And that's what we're really wanting to reach out and ask the participants that are taking part in this to come forward and explain a little bit about how the exercise works here in a minute. And then not only what they're looking for in design, but then actually have them start thinking about what pieces might go in the building and how they might arrange those pieces. And that'll be kind of a fun exercise of almost like Legos, but a little easier than Legos. So, we'll have blocks already made up for them. And then we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do with all this information. Where does it go from here? So that's really the agenda of the community forum. So we're going to, first piece is just to go through the community center committee. What is the committee's charge? Who are the members on the committee? And a little bit about the history. The next, we're going to get into the results of the 2024 townwide feasibility survey with the results of that and the facilities that were identified as priorities and what those were and how they were prioritized. And then we're going to break up into the first group exercise, which looks at what are the features that are most important in a community center, what activities and services should be provided, and what concerns or challenges does the community face regarding this idea of trying to create a new community center. So it's really almost a reflection on the surveys and a similar overlap of material or questions that those asked as well. And so then we'll ask the smaller groups to report out to the larger group.
Can you go back? One second?
Yeah, please.
Report key points from you discussion.
Oh,
Is that?
key points from your discussion.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll get those. I'll go through and proof this whole thing, but thank you.
Yes.
Very quick eyes. And then next talks about the site context. And as I mentioned, there are 2 sites being considered right now. One on Forside Road and one near the fairgrounds, which we call fairground site, that abuts onto Bypass Road. So, and then we'll just give everyone an overview. The question I had on this one, I think we sort of, again, these are just diagrams, and probably what I'll do is even abstract them. So it'll just be a block and that shows how it would fit onto the site instead of breaking it down into particular little areas. But that one, I think, is fairly straightforward. The fairground site, we had 2 where we looked at the access road being closer to the fairgrounds themselves, and then another one that showed it up closer to the athletic field. And I can't remember where we landed about
I
wanting to
think
show.
wouldn't show the access roads yet,
Okay, all right, let's remove those entirely. Yep, that sounds good. We can do that.
because we haven't got any final decisions from the fair. We're still.
You're still mulling it over. Yeah, okay, sounds good. And so then we're going to ask the small groups again to review. We'll have site maps and we'll ask them to review those and talk about what strengths and challenges of each of those sites are, and then how can the design make the most of each location, and then report that back out to the larger group.
How are we staffing those small groups?
So Harriman will have 4 people there, and so that's the majority of the facilitation. But any of you are invited to participate in that as well. So in particular, most of it's self-directed. We usually ask that one person become sort of a recording person at each table, that then they're responsible for reporting back out to the larger group. And then get a little bit into visioning and design and inspiration, which is spelled incorrectly, but again, that's be all corrected. So, but examples of community centers and public spaces. So we'll show some examples that have amenities similar to what we've been looking at in all the surveys. And so thinking about community kitchens and thinking about fitness studios and the various types of, whether it's a gymnasium or meeting spaces for seniors, all of those will give examples of those. And so people, it won't be such abstract ideas anymore. It'll really become things that they can all understand. And then what we'll do is we'll actually have those same images up on boards, and we'll give people dots, and they go out and they sort of identify on the boards the things that resonate with them. So just a simple informal way of getting them to respond to some of these ideas of other community centers. And it's a good way at this point in the exercise to just get them out of their seats and moving a little bit too. So
Can I raise an issue with the dots?
Please.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Our climate action last month or 6 weeks ago group had something, an exercise, they gave dots. They gave them like 40.
Yeah. Oh, they gave them that many?
So I think it was, yeah, so it was like way too hard to find, because everyone had so many, and it's
Yep.
like, some were like, oh, this is, I'm gonna put 10 on this.
Yep.
And so I wonder if it's better to give less dots, you know, unless someone really wants 10 amenities in it.
Right.
Probably there's gonna be 5 things that are really more important to them.
Yep.
So I wonder if it'd be more clear what our priorities are if we had less dots.
Excellent point, and we usually do, we say that, because we don't want them putting a dot on every item that they have, but typically, you're right, Mark, the distinction, sometimes people will distribute the 4 to the highest priorities. Some people think one priority is so important that they put all of their dots on that one priority, but we're gonna ask that they not do that, that they sort of pick the most important items that they see as being priorities to include in them. So, and it probably a 5 or less, and so, but we'll have those dots ready. So, but that's a good comment. If you give them too many, then you're right, you'll end up with a big confusing mess of dots. So then we'll get then the next piece is getting into the design and concept mapping. And what I'll do is I'll have the basic blocks that I just talked about. We'll have big printouts of these on foam board, and I'll just describe those to everyone. And then working in their groups, they'll actually arrange those foam board pieces onto a larger map. And so it'll actually be kind of an exercise in creating the layout of the spaces and what should go next to what should be near the front door and what should be next to the lobby, you know, all that. So that's really kind of a fun exercise, and we'll tell everyone that, you know, they can become an architect after they successfully turn in their results. And so, and then we'll talk about next steps and where we are in this process. So that's in brief, that's kind of the outline of the presentation. So I'll stop if there are any questions.
I think that sounds pretty similar to what we discussed before.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Paul, for you, if you go to the website that the QR code is, it will take you to the you can get to the feasibility study and a lot of more detail about everything we're talking about. So it will help you with kind of understanding that part of it. Mark, obviously, he's just getting prepared for the meeting now. So, but the detail is on there as far as percentage points and that type of thing.
Okay, and that's been updated recently?
It was updated a week and a half ago.
Okay.
When we realized that the feasibility wasn't easy to find, it now is in the right-hand column where you can pull all of that up. Allison identified that it wasn't easily accessible, so we did some work on that and got it done pretty quick.
I don't have any questions or concerns. I just think we need people to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really
That's
what we
right.
need.
Right.
Yeah.
Food, right? I don't know.
So yeah, I guess, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so that completes what you have for updates,
That's-
unless we
that's-
have any more
Yep,
questions?
correct. That's the update.
Okay.
And what I'll do, like I said, I'll complete the presentation and I'll send it around to everyone for comment. So-
Okay, and you'll let us know your time frame, like answer
Oh,
ASAP.
well, preferably, I'd say by Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay,
I guess in follow-up to that, I think most of the committee is planning on attending in person.
Right.
So when we're there that day, what would be the ask of us, for us to just join in the group as a whole?
Absolutely. We'll actually distribute you to throughout the different tables. And so we'll make sure that we're well dispersed. And so each of you has a lot more history with the project and can assist in facilitating some of the dialogue and conversation around these things. Absolutely.
I have a thought, and I'm not sure if it's Mark, but what happens what would the answer be if somebody said, what are the next steps? What are you going to do with the information after you have this? What does the next 6 months look like for the community center? When are we going back to the select board? When are we, what are the next steps?
And I'll let
Yep.
Mark help me, but I think when Mark's done, we're gonna have a preliminary design and a preliminary cost estimate. And then we take that back to the select board and see what they want to do next.
Okay.
Yeah, that's primarily this section of the study was, okay, now that we've evaluated the communities, what they've said to us that they were looking for, now let's actually put together what that might be in terms of an actual project and what would the cost of that project look like. And then that's to be shared with them. They can decide what to do to move forward from there. But
I think one thing that would help them with that decision is if also we start thinking about ways we can try to fundraise or, because to the extent I've heard any opposition in the community is just cost.
That's what I'm thinking about
yeah.
too, is people are gonna wanna know when does that answer start becoming true, is how much is this gonna cost?
Right.
So we'll kind of know
Okay.
roughly how much it's gonna cost when Mark's done, but the question that maybe this committee can help start to answer that is, here's what we want to do to try to offset that cost.
Okay.
So kind of in, oh, sorry, Leslie, go ahead.
Am I right that the fundraising piece, it should happen prior to going back to the select board? So
No,
that
we
we
don't,
have
I don't
some
think we want to
understanding?
actually do the fundraising.
No, okay, just the brainstorming. Yeah,
Exactly.
Just the brainstorming.
But we might go a bit with a structure to it. You know, we might say,
Okay.
this is what we think it would cost. This is the estimate. This is what we'd like to do to fundraise for it, et cetera.
Okay. Okay.
Could be wrong, but I kind of thought that when we had talked about this, we said we were gonna do this in January, and then it might take a little bit of time to pull all of the reporting together. While that's happening, the rest of us would
Great.
have the time to talk about fundraising or opportunities, brainstorming,
Great.
things of that nature.
Exactly. I need some time to go back and actually develop the concept, or concept
Yeah,
options.
so I think that would be a great thing for happen in the meantime.
Well, so one of the things that I was thinking of is when we sent out the surveys, we have the emails of people who would be interested
Hmm.
in fundraising. And I'm wondering like, what would be that sweet spot to start reaching out and say, hey, are you still interested?
Mhm.
And maybe start getting that core group and maybe even planning a meeting in the near future, just to kind of kick off brainstorming. And knowing, you know, how many
Yeah.
people we have that are interested in actually helping.
Would it be helpful to have that conversation while he's pulling everything together? So that we have a list of people who we might, you know, who might be interested in
Yeah.
helping with the fundraising, and then when we go to the select board, say, okay, here are potential fundraising opportunities, and we have a list of people who already who may
I
be
think we should touch
interested.
base before.
Well, right,
with
talk to
those
those
people.
people.
Yeah,
See if
yeah.
they're still
I just wanted to
interested, then
clarify
get
that.
that list,
Right,
and
yeah.
then go back to the select board.
Yeah, because
and
my
say,
concern is if you wait too long, oh, I signed up for that.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Right.
interested, you know, because it's going to take depending on how much money we have to raise. I mean, how long did it take us, what, 2 years to raise the money for the playground at Williams School?
60,000?
Like 60,000 in 2 years? And I'm just thinking, you know, the sooner, not top priority, but the sooner we start reaching out to people, keep it fresh in their minds, and
Mhm.
maybe they know other people too that,
Mhm.
you know, they can draw in, because it's gonna take a lot of people, I feel.
Yeah, typically, what we see is that it takes a while, to organize everyone, and then it's just a long process, because usually it's volunteers that have limited time, and so
Yeah.
they're gonna, I think, you know, as long as everyone understands what the process is, then I don't know that there's any restriction in terms of when you want to start engaging a subgroup to start looking at fundraising.
I think we would just want to be very careful on how we word it,
Oh, for sure.
because if we don't want to give the indication that we have the ability to fundraise at this point,
Right,
so.
right. It's more of like, just stay in contact. Are you still interested? Can we keep you on the list? And then if we get to the point where we have the meeting, then I think we just need to be very clear that, you know, it's brainstorming and we're not actually planning a fundraising event yet.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because depending on what does come up for ideas for fundraising, when we did that dinner and auction and everything, that took us a year to plan. You know,
Yeah.
but that raised us the most of our
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of thinking, again,
Mhm.
down the road quite a ways,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I want to make sure we keep people's interests
get everybody ready and waiting.
exactly and be as proactive as we can.
Do you have any suggestions from other efforts, Mark, of ways that work better than others for structuring? Or are there certain companies that people work with? Are there certain?
Well, there are, I mean, that's one way of doing, is you hire, a fundraising consultant to assist you in that, and they'll do a good job of coming in, trying to identify where opportunities are for very interested people in your community, coming up with that list and doing outreach as well. But inevitably, the issue is that the more information you have, the easier I think it is to make that outreach, so that case statement with others. And so part of that is this notion of what it might be and how much it might cost is going to go a long way towards when you go and actually ask for the big request that they really want to understand what is this and how real is this going to be.
Right.
And so, but it's a matter of whether or not you have the ability to go on and hire a consultant to do that, that they're skilled in understanding the process and how much you can get from a certain segment of the community. And then from there, how effective you're going to be in being able to raise a certain amount of money too. So,
Would
but
you have any range or ballpark of
what their services
what their
are?
fees?
Mm,
Yeah.
I don't, but I can get a ballpark of some that we've worked with in the past, if that's helpful. So,
I think it would
Yeah.
be.
yeah,
For
sure,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Go through it.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess next steps in preparation from the committee. What do we need to do other than food and timing?
No, I think, again, as I would ask that you show up a few minutes early, just so we can help us. Like I said, there'll be about 4 or so from Harriman. We'll help organize the space, but we're going to come prepared with all the materials that we need. And so I'll plan on arriving about a half an hour early that day, just to make sure that technology is set up correctly and everything works. And I think other than that, I think we're in good shape. So if everyone can take care of the other logistic items of getting the word out and anything else that needs to be done for food and that, I think we're in good shape.
My thoughts are that we need to have a welcome table where folks can
Yes.
sign in and put a name tag on, just to kind of, give a sense of we're glad you're here. And I also
They'll be in the
think
forum,
that,
right?
sorry, I didn't hear you.
Would it be in the forum? People will start in the forum.
We're gonna start in the forum and then we'll move into the cafeteria because we need the round tables. And most of the audio visual will happen in the forum, and then we'll go out to the tables in the cafeteria. Unless we can figure out, and probably might be worth, Mark, if you're down this way again, taking a look at the facility and get your feel for if we want to just move tables into the forum and set them up that way if we can. Much will depend upon what we get for attendance.
I don't know if there's really enough floor space in the forum to move too many tables.
I know, that's why I picture us going to the cafeteria and coming back to the forum for anything audio visual.
Yes, that sounds good. I think so. There is also AV available in the cafeteria, correct?
We would have to make it. We would have to bring our own.
Okay.
Have to bring our own projector and our own screen in for the cafeteria.
Okay.
To my knowledge, maybe I need to check on that because I don't believe when I've ever been there for anything that the cafeteria has those kind of items.
Yeah, what I'd love to just walk through the space this week or next week. So I don't know who's available to meet me there, but that would actually be a great idea. And I'm down this way a few times, so.
Okay, shoot me an email and I'll be happy to try to make it happen.
Okay.
Probably not tomorrow because I'm kind of on house arrest for a couple of days, but after that, I should be able to bounce back.
All right, I'll shoot for later in the week then, Pam, and just looking really quickly at my calendar for Friday right now is fairly, Friday afternoon is open on my calendar, so I don't know if that works for you or not.
That works fine.
All right.
I think when we have people sign in, if we're gonna have a sign-in sheet, I think first name, last name, email, are you interested in helping in fundraising efforts? And are you a resident of Topsham? Do we want to ask that question?
I
Yeah.
think that's important, Allison,
Yeah.
because I do think we'll get some people from the district. And we need to know that ahead of time, how we probably need to talk about how we want to deal with that.
I think we need to also word any requests for help with fundraising to say if the select board chooses to move forward on, we still need to have that caveat that it's not, what do you want to help with fundraising? To me indicates we're moving forward. And so we just have to be careful with the wording.
Maybe instead of even calling that out, maybe would you want to receive updates in regards to the project? And then we could start
Right, or
mailing
future,
list.
exactly.
And then the
future
mailing
endeavors.
list,
Yeah.
we could then take that and say, hey, we're looking for people interested in fundraising, brainstorming or something like that.
We want their input, but we don't want to scare them away thinking they
Exactly.
have to help with a fundraiser before
Right.
they've even
So
set foot on the
They're here to
presentation.
understand.
Yeah. So I-
interested in receiving future updates regarding this project?
That sounds good.
I would think as we're going through the agenda, that there might be a place at the end to say, if we are moving forward on this, we would love you to sign out and just put your name down if you want to help us with future fundraising. I just think there needs to be a bit of an explanation. Right, let's get their input before we're asking. So maybe not on the side.
I think that it might be tougher to get people to stop and sign and put their email address down on
I
the
think
way.
the email is fine for future updates. Okay, I think that's not scary. Not scary.
Not scary.
Because in the end, this is gonna be paid for with big sales. It's gonna have to have
Exactly.
Yeah.
solicitations. and stuff, yeah.
Exactly. Okay,
And then I think another item is that the postcard, that each of you share that and invite 5 or 6 people yourself personally that you think would be beneficial to have part of it. Because each of us kind of have a sense of, in a circular way, of who would be able to give helpful or perspective that we want. So I would encourage you all to, reach out to people that you feel would have a good input.
It might be fun to invite all the people who've been on the committee over the years. It'd be fun. I
Yeah.
can see if I can go back to some old emails, just to see where we're at. That would be kind of cool.
I've actually had a couple people reach out to me just this weekend and they have already seen the information and have said, oh, I'm planning to be there on that day.
great,
So
Good.
people are already seeing it.
Oh, that's great.
nice.
My dad's coming.
Oh, I get to meet your
Good, good.
dad.
Excellent.
Yay. So, do we want to flesh out food and timing?
Yes.
Okay. So we put on our postcard light refreshments.
Can I go back to, we need to let people know where they're entering.
It says
Yeah.
Oh, it does, yeah.
door number
okay.
6.
Door number 6, perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Yay.
Okay, so light refreshments. Suggestions?
I'll do the cookie thing again.
I don't mind baking. I'm doing some baking.
That's 1 o'clock.
We did a pizza at one point, just to have like a warmer thing, right, for, I don't know what time.
The hardest thing is just not knowing how many people.
Yeah.
It's a mess usually to clean up and people drop it on the floor. So
Yeah. True.
Well, if we do some baking, I think whoever purchased things like grapes last
Yeah, I
time,
did that last time.
that
Fruit.
would be a
and-
nice addition to the home baked goods.
Yeah,
Maybe
then
small
maybe-
bags of chips.
Small bags of
Chips.
chips or
Yeah.
pretzels.
yeah.
Snacky things.
Yeah.
You
And,
can take a
then,
bag and go.
and then just bottles of water.
Sure.
I don't think we need to mess around with like coffee and
No.
stuff.
No.
Right? Okay. So I'll get some fruit. I'll get water. Almost.
I don't think we need caffeine. Other people need caffeine.
Well, I do have my own carafe.
I was
One of those
gonna
big
say, I
ones.
have one too. I'm happy if we need to bring them, I'd be happy to bring it and
Or it could
Get
even be
everyone
iced
caffeinated.
tea, you know, just like a sleeve of, or two of iced tea and lemonade, something like that, I don't know. People energized, but
The department, the
Well, that's what I was
department,
Right.
Sorry, Pam, I didn't mean to interrupt.
that's okay. The department does have 2 carafes that we could put lemonade and ice water in if we didn't want to do bottled and just have cups on the side. And Lynn, I can always take you to Hannaford with the credit card so we could do it that way as well, like the day before, to get things taken care of.
Sure, that's fine.
let's keep it simple. A lot of people will arrive with a coffee if they need a coffee.
That's what I think, and I also think that if they're gonna be doing all these activities and arranging blocks and stuff, I really don't want a bunch of cups of stuff all over the place. I think bottles with tops and
Okay.
just, again, keep it really simple.
And if there's a lot of people, we can always run out, I can run out to the store and get
Yeah,
extra stuff. you know,
exactly,
so.
or I can call Roger or something,
Yeah,
if I can't get him to come to the meeting.
I mean, people that are coming for the food, they're coming to our participation.
Exactly, so keep it simple, for sure. Okay, do we need to discuss more with timing, or you said?
I don't know, I wonder if we should be there more than a half hour ahead of time, because if we are going to put together some sort of welcome station with name tags and stuff like that, and
You know, people will be there early.
and some people will be there early, and we'll wanna make sure we all know who's doing what. So I'm wondering if
So
we should,
maybe noon time?
we should get there at noon time.
Does the school, are they concerned what time we get there, Pam?
No, guys, I have the pass that can open everything for access, so we don't even need a janitor. So,
Awesome.
12:15.
Between
Yeah.
12 and 12:15?
Yeah.
yeah.
12:15.
And my suggestion would be name tags. You just number them however many tables you think you're gonna have, just number them 1 through 5. And then you just tell the people, number 1, go to this table, number 2 goes to this table. That's the easy way, because otherwise people are gonna put themselves with their best friend, and you wanna spread the conversation, so to speak.
Yeah, it's either that or what we usually do is let them settle, because they will settle next to whoever they want to, and then we do the counting off of starting
Yeah.
with 1 going through, because that way it breaks them up entirely, so.
Well,
But
we
that's
don't have to tell them till they sit down, right? Mark?
correct, that's my,
Okay.
oh, what the number is, yeah, some people will put it together, but you're right, good. We can do that,
Okay, and we figured about an hour and a half to 2 hours?
right, that's right, the
Okay.
exercise, this whole thing, I think we've timed it out that it's probably gonna be close to the 2 hour.
Do we wanna divide at all, not that there's gonna be a lot of cleanup, but if for whatever reason, we could say, some people might be there early, some people might be there late, I don't know.
Well, I can tell you,
I
I
can do
have
both.
something, I have a Christmas gift that I got, that I have to be somewhere in Westbrook at 4 o'clock.
Oh.
So I can
So
be
you're
there
thinking
in the
you're gonna get-
beginning, but probably by like 3, so
Okay.
I can go home and head out.
Well, I can tag team on the back end then. I'll
Okay,
come
okay.
closer to 1 and I'll be available to.
Yeah, because I can be there
Okay.
whatever time early, but I do have to
If
head
it's the
out.
25th, I have nothing that day.
Okay.
The 26th is a little more challenging.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for no snow. Okay, any
I do
other?
that every day.
You do it every day.
I think it's like a 20% chance right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it really
Oh,
is.
it's something.
So it's something, so whatever that means, but.
But it's Maine, so wait a minute, that'll
Absolutely.
change,
That's
right?
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions or comments or anything from anyone?
Is there somebody that can get some of the cards to Steve?
Yeah, he lives next door.
Yeah. I'm just throwing it out there. You don't have to take them right now.
Plus well, no, because I'll forget. Plus I need some too, so. Okay, that's enough for Steve. No.
Enough.
I do really like these. They're very sharp looking and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, really good.
guys did an excellent job.
Great.
Okay, so item number 5, next action steps.
Let me read off what I have so far. Committee to take posters and postcards to hand out individually and to hang at Hannaford or other locations. I have for food, Kim and Kathy are going to bring some kinds of desserts which we're all excited about, no matter who else shows up. I have a note that Mark will catch up with Pam to see the space to plan ahead of time. That you are going to send out the presentation. We are going to all watch for his email so we can give feedback right away, so we can make sure that there's any of that. We are looking to how we're gonna do the sign up table, and we will assign it that morning, but whether it's putting numbers on the tags or something like that. And that's it so far. Did I miss anything as far as next
Did you
steps?
say Pam and Lynn going to the Hannaford?
Oh, I did not.
Fruits and beverages
And chips.
and chips. Thank you.
You're gonna write down something salty.
Sweet and salty. Kind of like me. No, just kidding.
I'll put these in a better order when I retype it. but-
Okay, that's cool.
Is there anything else? Pam, would it be helpful if I drafted a sign-in sheet, or is that just, you probably already have sign-in sheets?
We do.
Okay.
That shouldn't be, yeah, no, that's fine, but thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so should we move on to item number 6, review the minutes from the November 25th, 2024 meeting? Has everyone had a chance to read them and yes, any feedback? Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the 25th of November?
Not what to say. I move
You
to
move to
accept
accept
the
the
minutes of
minutes?
November 25th, 2024.
Okay, second, anyone? We're so formal tonight.
I don't know if I'm
Okay.
supposed to say
Everything
minutes
needs to
since I
be
Since you
wrote.
wrote 'em, right?
Since I wrote them, so I try to stay quiet. Great.
Okay, so minutes are accepted. Okay, confirmation of next meeting, date and time. That's the tricky one.
Mhm.
When do you think we should meet, Mark?
Well, what we can do, it might not be a bad idea to put one on our usual cadence of meetings, just to do a recap of everything we heard before I go away and start looking at developing some concept designs and site plan, to detail the site plans a little bit more. And so if we were to have a meeting in February, when would we want to conduct that?
Typically, I think it would be the first Monday. so it would be February 3rd.
Third. And that's not there's no magic to the holidays or anything on that day, right?
No.
Doesn't look like it. It's not vacation week.
No.
Three.
Do we
That's
have
not
a
till the
space?
17th.
That's what I'm checking.
Does that give you enough time?
Well, that's for us, just again, what we're gonna do is sort of a
Just to
recap of everything
recap
we've
everything?
heard. And then from there, I probably will need 2 months to come back with some more established ideas. And so that's that sort of time that, and then that will start to really look at something that starts to resemble what an actual design of a building might look like.
So the 3rd, this room's taken, but downstairs is open, so. we can
Okay,
meet
let's take it.
downstairs.
All right, so February 3rd, same time? 2, 3, 15.
What about Steve?
Hold on a second. I talked to Steve today. I wanna check. I think his season is over by then, but that's why he's not here tonight, because of his practice time. Let me
Yeah.
just take a quick look. Yeah, I think that should be okay for him. I think freshman team would be done by then.
All right, let's go with that then.
I'll text him right now too and just, so he can have it on his radar.
Tell him I have some postcards for him.
Okay.
Do you want 3 quick updates, maybe sort of related to this?
Yes, please.
Just heard this morning that the Department of Transportation has put the bill in to try to get the railroad tracks turned into the Merry Meeting Trail. So from Topsham up to Gardner.
That was fast.
So it hasn't been, it's still just beside the committee, but it's LD 29. So if anyone's interested in submitting a letter as testimony and support or. And that's one update. Next is we have put out our RFP for our Tedford Road reconstruction of the culvert, which would include sidewalk in that area. Right now, it's just the culvert area, but so that's starting to move forward, hopefully the next little bids. And then the last thing is we had a meeting with MDOT last week about the widening of Route 196. And I had asked if they could try to extend the walking path that we have, or the multimode, whatever path we have right now that ends at Community Way, as far as our piece, in the highway right away. And they're not sure they have space. And
What's our piece?
the piece we're looking at for the
Okay, that's what I thought.
for the community center.
Yeah.
Because the nice thing about that piece is it's right on this trail, so it'd be nice to connect all these trails together. So they are looking at that, although they're not sure if there's room in the right of way to put our trail beside the widened road. They are also looking at trying to improve pedestrian crossing as part of their project at Village Drive. So we might have two decent ways. If the path goes through, we'd have a way underneath the tracks, and the Village Drive, with better pedestrians, you could actually cross there with people and bikes and stuff. Not over it, it would still have to be at street level, but it'd have a refuge spot and well-marked crosswalks, and the lights would be configured to incorporate it.
Sorry.
So no matter where we end up, even if we end up at the fourth side, it's connectivity should be increasing from this side of town to that side of town, and from the schools to that side of town. Those are my fast updates.
Right.
Quick, thank you, Mark. Anything else before we adjourn?
Mark, is Joe Feely from the Highlands?
Yep.
I'll reach out to him and ask him to take some of the posters and the cards, because I don't think we have a real resource here. And that might be helpful for us to get. He likes doing that kind of stuff. So I'll reach out to him.
Nice.
It's a great idea. We should definitely connect with the Highlands.
I don't need the posters. I can print more, but if you guys can leave me like 10 or 15 postcards, that would be sweet. Okay?
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Pam. Okay. Seems like a really quick meeting, but adjourn at 6:03.
You get the award for quick meeting.
The gavel. I'm not
Don't
after Steve's
apologize.
job.
All right,
Excellent.
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for being here, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for the updates.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But it's good. It's good.
Good night, Heather.
All right, night, guys. Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
I was gonna wait till we were off recording before I